know what we haven't done in a while? Just properly read through, pick apart, and mock a stupid article. Some old school content for a very, very old school article. As I discovered this one right here a little bit before Christmas, and it provides me with an excellent opportunity to expand upon a point I made previously as well about the wokeist civil war and how we've already had a bit of a precursor to it in the feminist civil war that left the movement divided between the TERFs, the trans-exclusionary feminists who believe that feminism should be for females. Radical idea, absolutely. And of course the intersectional feminists, who appear to have won, but in reality have simply just been subsumed into the larger wokeist movement. And this has left the feminist movement, once virtually all-powerful, getting everything they demanded and asked for, laying down with a broken back, begging for table scraps from the wokists' table. So this one here, the Wheel of Time's women represent an important step forward for fantasy television. We're gonna read this, and you tell me whether this sounds like 2022 or 2012. Sometimes it can be really difficult to be a female fan of genre television. Genre television. TV that has genres? Okay. Hold on. Is this an actual term, or is this what I think it is? Let's, DuckDuckGo. No. This is literally just a person sitting down thinking to themselves, what are a pair of terms I can use to push my bullshit today that will make me sound mildly authoritative? Well, genre and television. Those are both words being used in genre and television, right? Apparently. Particularly in the fantasy space, not the fantasy genre, mind you. Because no matter how much you might love it, 9 times out of 10, it does not love you back. Representation can be slim when present at all. Women are too often stuck as de facto supporting characters, usually presented to serve as a love interest to one of the male heroes rather than drive the action themselves. Most, end up as victims of physical or sexual violence, and their stories tend to be peppered with a sort of casual misogyny and pointless objectification that generally only exists to serve the male gaze. Bullshit. Because it is not 2012, it is 2022. We have suffered beneath the oppressive oak of wokeist and feminist tyranny for damn near a decade at this point. Representation is not scarce, it is forced artificially into absolutely everything. The Wheel of Time being, as you mentioned, a brilliant example of this, since pretty much every single change in the TV show compared to the book is made from one very simple reason. Penis, Randall Thor, bad. Scale down his role. Vagina, good! Scale up their role. The final cataclysmic confrontational battle between an army of Trollocs, the scene where Randall Thor is supposed to bust out all of his insane magical power and wipe them out, was literally taken from Randall Thor, because penis bad, and given to a bunch of random women. One which was introduced that very goddamn episode, so they could wipe out the entire Trolloc army. Also, by the way, invalidating the entire threat of the Trollocs, because they built a stupid brick wall. Oh god, the Trolloc hordes, they're bigger than ever, we will never defeat this. A handful of seconds of lightning thereafter. Plot point resolved. Only after having sacrificed all of the men, of course, because, you know, some bitch-ass supporting characters. But, again, we have been buried in strong female characters. This is for all mankind, a really good show that I would actually recommend. But the female characters are strong. They are independent, even though this is set in like the 50s, 60s. You could kind of argue it's more sci-fi than fantasy, but it's an alternative timeline, so I'll take it. Oh, what about Shadow and Bones? Literally a reverse harem series. Is that not a strong enough female protagonist, where every single male is basically madden in love with her from the first time they look? eyes on her? Alright, what about Faith, the Wink Saga? A cringeworthy I don't even know. No, you know what? Skip that. That's too awful. Or What Are You Nun? What do you think the main character in this show is? And just there's a slight hint in the title there somewhere. I'm sure you can decipher it if you look closely enough, but of course, this has nothing to do with the actual representation, it's just whatever is popular. Again, very 2012. To be fair, we've certainly come a long way from the days where the Lord of the Rings Eowyn, was forced to essentially carry the hopes of an entire gender on her back as J.R.R. Tolkien's token female character. Never forget, Liv Tyler's role as Arwen in the film trailer was basically made up of whole cloth. And there's another 2012-ish trope, undermining one's own point immediately upon making it. There is no representation in modern-day entertainment. Wait, what's this? A movie was specifically changed from the source material to cater to your needs and desires? That's so weird. Huh. Second-class citizens have it awfully good in this world, as it turns out. Whereas most fantasy television shows are now guaranteed to have at least a handful of women on the canvas, however scantily clad they might be, who's out of progress, I guess, and once more, bullshit. Again, scantily clad female characters, if they practically ever existed, is a thing of prehistoric past. Let's look at some stuff here. The most recent show I can remember that had scantily clad / attractive, sexy female characters was The Sword of Truth, or Legend of the Seeker, I believe was the adaption's name of it. And by scantily clad, I mean there is cleavage. You can see cleavage. It appears in the show even. Imagine that. Or, to even go further back, in the true age of misogyny, what about Buffy? Oh yeah, no, this is basically bikini armor right here. I really can't tell the difference. Or Xena, warrior princess. That's got to be pretty male-gazy, right? I mean, there's a midriff if you look closely there. Xena, the titular main character, is well, we do have. I was about to say we've got cleavage, but it's covered by the hair, unfortunately. There are some thighs, however. However scantily clad they may be, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't bring up a very recent example of Faye Valentine, a character literally designed to be a femme fatale in the original, being turned into a bumbling dimwit that wields guns most of the time in the Netflix adaptation, which was mercifully shit-canned near immediately. There is still some kind of a god out there in the galaxy. Yet Game of Thrones, which notably gave us a groundbreaking array of female candidates from the traditional feminine Sansa stock, to murderous dragon rider Daenerys Targaryen, still generally positioned its women as exceptions to their gender, succeeding only in ways that were acceptable or similar to men, and most were still raped or otherwise violated along the way. Show me a Game of Thrones male character that didn't go through the goddamn meat grinder. Most of them were pretty harshly abused too, losing limbs, being outright killed, murdered, or being sacrificed. They didn't have it particularly easy either, frankly. If anything, the female characters who were often, in the case of Sansa for example, actively coddled throughout most of the story, seems like they had it almost a little bit better there, but hey, details. Even Netflix The Witcher, which established itself as something of a gold standard for female agency in the fantasy space, is still an explicitly masculine story, albeit one that generally treats its women as equals in their own right. And yet again, 2012, where you go, oh wait, hold on, there's a very good counter-argument to my point, but I'm just gonna unilaterally claim that this is totally not the case. Wait, there's a TV show where the females are just as, if not more powerful than the male character, has as much, if not more agency than Geralt, which is literally a glorified exterminator, basically. Hell, you could make a very solid argument that a lot of the Witcher series' main character is Ciri, in fact. Hell, in the second season, she is definitely presented as the strong character, the go-getter girl that will become a hero at some point, hopefully. Unless she dies because Gerald's a bad father, in which case. Explicitly masculine story, too. You mean having heroes, having progression, having the villains be defeated at some point? Okay, fair enough. Very masculine. This is the reason that Amazon's new high fantasy drama, The Wheel of Time, feels like such a breath of fresh air. And here we'll get to another classical point as well. The simple fact that the show features so many women in major roles feels rather astounding. But more than that, the series consciously treats them as the primary drivers of the tales we're watching. In this story, women are everywhere, as everything from powerful sorceresses and gifted politicians to rural blacksmiths and village healers, and the nuanced depiction of these different types of female powers is both an existing and necessary change of pace. There's the other one. Weaponized hypocrisy. Because what does The Wheel of Time really do? It takes the gender paradigm, which the author is currently busy complaining about, and simply flips it the other way, to the point where the women are the ones in absolute institutional power. The very first, The Wheel of Time kind of forgets about this because I guess it was embarrassing and inconvenient, but in the first episode they show it quite well, where the men are more often than not shunted off to the side, whilst the women are having maddened drinking parties and acting like the men of the house, even the one toxic female character getting drunk and then bitching out her son, "You'll become just like your father, you will, scum!" Based on Robert Jordan's sprawling series of novels, The Wheel of Time not only features at least a dozen major female characters, its world is an explicitly feminine and feminist one. I agree, the feminist would create a tyrannical top-down worldview ruled by an absolute gender-based power structure. It's true. See, another 2012 comment, accuse the opposition of what you yourself is doing. Freudian slip of the tongue, is doing. Women are the only beings capable of safely channeling the one power. Well, theoretically, never mind, we'll not get into that here. And are therefore responsible for protecting the world against the inevitable rise of the evil Dark One. Well, no. Well, what's the saying? Tell me you haven't read anything of the books without actually saying it. This is one of the divides as well in The Wheel of Time. Those who have read the book tend to hate it. Those who haven't read the book tend to love it. Because the female sorcerers, the Aes Sedai, have absolutely no way of preventing the rise of the Dark One. Because they're just simply too goddamn weak. It was the search for a source of magical power that both genders could wield equally that in fact brought the Dark One into existence to begin with. Equality was what destroyed the utopia of the time of legend. And as a result, it means that every woman is born knowing that her life doesn't have to revolve around becoming a wife or mother, not unless she wants it to. But the life of every man does revolve around him becoming a husband or a father, regardless of whether or not he wants it to. This difference may seem pedestrian on paper. No, it's pretty stark actually. But ultimately creates a world of female characters given choices, absolute agency, over the slave class of men, that is. And they understand to make those choices that many of the fantasy sisters simply do not have. The story initially follows Moraine Damodred, Rosamund Pike, a member of the magical order of women called the Aes Sedai, and her warder, the sex slave, Lanal Mandragorn, on a quest to discover the identity of the prophesied dragon reborn, who's destined to either save or doom the world. Moving on. Along with 5 potential candidates rescued from a small mountain village, she will return to the magical city of Tar Valon, where it is hoped the chosen one's identity will be revealed. Nothing about the bones of this story is terribly new. It's a 30-year-old book. Come on. And much will feel familiar to viewers who have read any of the several popular fantasy series beyond Jordan's own. But the choices the Wheel of Time makes in the telling of the tale, it allows even the most predictable beats to feel fresh, often improving upon the quality in important ways. Again, I refer you back to penis, bad, vagina, good, fresh. In the books, for example, it is explicitly stated that Dragon Reborn must be a man, automatically making Egwene and Nynaeve something like second-class citizens on their journey to save the world. Because they are. And improving upon its original important ways. The Aes Sedai, forgetting the gender of the dragon, is literally like the Catholic Church going, who the hell is this Jesus character? And why does he feature so prominently in all of our writing? Good God, if only somebody could remember. It's ridiculous. It is not an improvement, this is a retardation of the ancient order of the Aes Sedai, reducing them to little more than mouth-breathing morons who cannot even remember their raison d'etre for existing. But hey, details. In Amazon versions, it's assumed that the prophecy can apply to anyone who fits the right age criteria. And this is the first of many decisions that make the Wheel of Time's world feel wide open, from its effortless diversity to the modern feel of its policies. What is politics? Well, its modern feel of its politics. I agree, it has a very modern sense of politics. Again, penis, badu, reducu, throw out window, vagina, good, put on pedestal, give things for free. Very modern politics, I cannot deny it. Here, women are not torn down or made to seem less than male heroes. They're always put up above them. Instead, all the status characters are given genuine depth. I would argue the opposite. Perrin, for example, who murders his wife only to 5 seconds later go, damn it, didn't I used to... Wasn't there somebody in my past that was kind of important to me? Oh well, moving on. And treated with respect. There's no pointless nudity, and women don't have to experience violence to grow or change. No, but the men do. Again, the pale pointless killing of Perrin's wife, or his torture sequence, which unlocks the beast within. Literally every point is the reverse. Oh, well, it's good when it happens to those evil bastard menfolk, of course. The sex scenes thus far have been loving, sweet, and entirely consensual. And the show's central relationship isn't a romance, but a platonic male-female relationship that is still allowed to be a fully warm and tender as any marriage. I'd actually argue that the central relationship is a romance, but again, minor details. I'm starting to wonder if she's even watched the TV show, actually. Yet the female characters of the Wheel of Times are not a monolith, and in this world there are many ways to be a woman, as there are to wield the one power, and all are all equal importance. Well, no, the Armelin throne is not of equal importance to a village blacksmith, no. Some Aes Sedai are righteous seekers of justice, while others are manipulating and self-serving in their pursuit of power. Some of them are literally evil. One order of Aja is basically comprised of open misandrists who despise all men. Imagine that. Others are scholars or healers, while still more are hardened warriors, and all of them occupy complex moral and narrative spaces. Is it a complex moral and narrative space to be an open misandrist? I'd like to see the complex and morally narrative space of being an open misogynist. Would that be accepted? Would that be a breath of fresh air? Hell, you know what? It might be, because it's a pretty rare character archetype. Flaws and goals, featuring female characters who are as fully realized as any of the male heroes. Misandry, misogyny, who have come before them, whether for good or ill, shouldn't still be so shocking, and yet here we are. And again, if you've been paying attention, it wouldn't be that shocking. Look, the Wheel of Time is far from perfect. Amen. And the show makes several baffling and problematic choices that can be blamed on the restrictions of the source material. I love that too. The restrictions of the source material. If you feel that the source material has restrictions, make your own. Woman. Let's say something worse. Not the least of which is its decision to give Perrin a wife just to brutally kill her in this series plot. In the opening episode, so he can have something to feel guilty about for the rest of the season. I wish he felt guilty about it for the rest of the season. It's not even brought up before. Oh, hold on. No, that's not true. Once in the final episode, he goes, "I had a wife once." What's her name again? God damn it. Well, anyways, moving on. That was such an awful scene. It is the most Game of Thronesy thing I've ever seen, where you have a blatantly square peg and you've got a round hole, and god damn it, you just gotta brutally, viscerally force that little bastard in there, no matter the amount of excess force you need to apply, because if you don't have at least one of Game of Thrones scenes in the show, people might simply turn off. And considering how boring that first episode was, maybe they're right. It also takes an awfully long time to illustrate the power of Navy, is more than apparently bottom-leg range she carries within her. To be fair, her act has this supremely and constantly pissed-off bitch face on her, which makes even the most gentle of incantations look like an absolute rage. Which, by the way, is actually kind of a good casting choice because the character she's supposed to portray is also a little bit of an angry-faced one. And as a fascinating character as Moraine is, boring. See, Moraine, I hate the representation of Moraine because she doesn't come across as particularly intelligent or intriguing or intrepid or industrious. She has this constantly dumbfounded, mildly mewling look on her face like, what? Is something happening? I have forgotten to close my mouth. That's what Moraine comes across to me, but details. The series likes to hold her at a certain distance, keeping her motives as a mystery. I think she's just too stupid to think of anything, frankly, from the audience for longer than is strictly necessary, making her seem pointlessly cold and standoffish in the process. That's a good point, she is pointlessly cold and standoffish. But things are all surmountable, quibbles, especially when popped up against all the smart ways that the Wheel of Time consciously pushes back against many of the tropes that helped make Game of Thrones, the most popular show in television history, practically, popular. And despite its flaws, it remains a story that wholeheartedly embraces female empowerment over male empowerment. Again, you're messing up your words here. You're using the incorrect sentence structure. The world of genre television, I'm going to start using this now just because it means nothing, would be vastly improved if more shows followed in its lead. God, I hope not. So, again, 2012 or 2022? The feminist civil war, the female civil war, that would be a sight to behold. The feminist civil war has left the entire movement with its back broken and its neck at a very uncomfortable angle, and almost all of its impetus, its drive, its innovation, its ability to find new ways to whinge about things, to push its agenda, has come to a complete halt. We are repeating the same blatantly untrue story points, we're just going to call them a story point, plot points now, that they've been spewing at for a decade. None of this holds up, not even to scrutiny then, and certainly not now. Oh, female representation is non-existent. In an article discussing Wheel of Time. And this is why it has no more traction. Why feminism is practically dead. It's a horse driven into the ground by the wokies, and now they have abandoned it. Because even the most blatantly ignorant normie will look at this and go, hold on. You just like it when the boot is on your foot, don't you? Yes. Yes, that is precisely it. Good God. Oh, now I remember why I don't read the whole articles, because it does take a lot more time, doesn't it? It really, really does. But seeing as we're still in the early days of a new year, we've got some time to waste, don't we? Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and as always, please do consider leaving a comment for the bridge and the algorithmic gods and their like. And maybe even a subscription, because who knows, you might receive notifications. It's a 50-50, but hey, the odds are better than most on YouTube these days. Have a good day.